We've been fine.
Busy?
Busy, man.
I'm sure.
Incredibly busy.
Us too, and it don't get light enough.
A call to order, May 18th, council workshop. Would you please stand for the prayer
I've already
and the
started.
pledge?
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman?
We don't need a quorum. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather as a group. Please protect us and protect our residents, and please protect our thoughts in that they will be in the best interest of our parish. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. The focus of tonight's workshop will be the August 16th flood, and so we have two presenters tonight. We have Mr. Jerome Fournier and Rick Weber, who will present to us on some statistics on where we are in the progress of restoring our parish from that flood. If any of the public would like to make a comment, there are some cards at the podium. Please fill them out and bring them up to me. So tonight we'll start, I guess, is Jerome, who wants to be first? Rick? Okay, great. Rick Weber, our Emergency Operations Coordinator. Did I get that title correct?
Emergency Manager, fine. I'll answer about anything there, Mr. Chairman. We're good.
I might have demoted you a coordinator versus a manager.
No, we're good. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I gave you a document that's going to I'll kind of roll through it while I give you a quick update on where we stand as far as DR 4277, that's the August 2016 flood. But before I get started, I just want to introduce my staff. I have Rachel Wilkinson. She's my assistant director. She's handling some of the coordination efforts for the flood and all the documentation that we need to do. Eric Desroches is managing all the permanent categories of work, and Michelle Rayborn is handling helping us manage the temporary categories of work. And if you could, if you're out and about, if you can thank some of the DPW staff that helped us with the final pass for this debris removal. Charles Brown, Marshall Harris, Zach LeBlanc, James Morton, Randy Weber, and Michelle LeBlanc and Michelle Rayborn handled some of the documentation on that. They did a fantastic job on this final pass for debris. And then IT let us use Survey 123, some of the documentation we use to track the debris removal that we're going to submit to FEMA. So if you get a chance to thank those people, I would definitely appreciate it. The first thing that I want to talk about is Category A, debris removal. If you look at the figure in the first, right above the red line, is $7,674,000 is what we predicted we'd get back on the first project worksheet, and that was cost incurred through December of 2016. What's below the red line hasn't been submitted to FEMA yet. That comprises the final pass throughout the parish that we're doing currently and some costs that we incurred in January through DRC. So we predicted about $7.6 million. And about $136,000 to $150,000 for force account labor that we use to remove debris, for about $7.8 million. It's good news to inform you that we just got our first project worksheet. It hadn't been obligated yet. It's in the process of being reviewed, and the value of that project worksheet was $7,882,183. So that's going to relieve some of the financial burden that the parish incurred for the flood. It's going to relieve a huge portion of it. So we're going to review that, get it back to FEMA, and then we'll begin to draw off of it. DEQ has done the inspection at Lamar-Dixon for the temporary debris site that we had, and the state of emergency for the flood is going to end on 24 May. So that's where we stand in terms of Category A, debris removal. We expect this to be reimbursed just north of $8 million. The second category is Category B, emergency protective measures. That's also a temporary category of work. There's two temporary categories, Category A, debris removal, and then Category B, emergency protective measures. We're predicting $4.7 million in emergency protective measures for that. So that's what that's force account labor, the price that we had to pay our employees for sandbagging operations, sheltering, drainage, flood control, force account equipment, any equipment that we use to respond to the flood, and then force account material, field material, anything that we had to purchase for emergency protective measures. So we're looking at about $4,700,000 for emergency protective measures. Category C, road and bridge. What we're looking at is bridges. We're fairly confident that we're going to get reimbursed from FEMA. $337,000 is what we're looking at. What we found in the bridges is that any bridge that we analyzed that had a wooden bulkhead had scouring behind the bulkhead, and we were able to use multiple means of testing to determine that. So we're looking at $337,000 in damages to bridges and about $5.9 million in damages to road. Now, normally FEMA doesn't have a really large appetite to repair roadways, so you have to really back it up with science. And out of all the parishes within a region, Ascension Parish is the only one submitting a project for our road damages. We did it with falling weight deflectometry, ground penetrating radar, and a bunch of other means that we use to determine the damages to our roadway systems. So right now, the project is in Denton, Texas, at FEMA Region 6, which is our region. This is based on a precedent set in Brazoria County, Texas, where FEMA actually paid for this type of testing and this type of roadway analysis. So we're the only one that did it, and we're fairly confident that we're going to get at least a portion of this back, that we can repair some of our transportation infrastructure. Water control facilities, the Henderson Bayou Laurel Ridge. We have submitted a project worksheet for $73,000, and then Alligator Bayou for $555,000. Now, we can claim this, but we're still waiting on documentation from drainage for all the equipment and personnel and material used to make these repairs, so we can start drawing off this project worksheet when it's approved and obligated. Category E, vehicles and equipment. The parish owned equipment. $45,000 is the loss to that, and then the parish-owned vehicles were $138,000. Now, a correction: equipment loss was $45,000, vehicle loss was $138,000, and that was submitted to FEMA to include into a PW for reimbursement. Leased equipment loss, we will submit that to FEMA for reimbursement. Leased equipment is a little bit different, so it's up for a FEMA eligibility review right now, but the total price for owned and leased equipment is $613,000, and that's what we'll submit for a project worksheet. Category E, our buildings, mosquito control. The final inspection was done this week. It's completed, and the mosquito control staff is prepared to move back into it. River Region Cancer Center is in a design phase right now with DDG Architectural, and so far the cost, the engineering cost that we'll look to repair that building is $219,000. Santa Moore Park Recreation Center, it came in at $640,000, and a project worksheet has been submitted to FEMA for that. One thing that I want to note on this, the substantial damage value of the structure is more than the engineering cost on that, and we're looking to get an answer from FEMA on that pretty soon. The Santa Moore Park office trailer, $522,000. It seems fairly expensive for a double-wide mobile home, but what this is taken into consideration is bringing this mobile home into compliance with our local code, raising it above the BFE, and making it ADA compliant. So this is what the estimates are. It may not be the cost to put it in place, but this is what the estimates are to get reimbursement from FEMA. PJ's Landing, again, the engineering damage assessments came in at $223,000. Fire stations 20, 51, and 80. All three came in at $176,000. And the low bid to repair Station 80 came in at $34,000. Stations 20 and 51 were slated for replacement, so they're going to apply insurance proceeds to building the new stations, the construction of the new stations. Galvez Lake Station 50 on Joe Severio, it came in at $129,000. The engineering damage estimates, but the bid to repair it came in at $98,800, so it came in below the engineering estimates. On the next one that you're looking at is Volunteer Fire Department Station 60 on Stringer Bridge. There's an error in this one. If you look at the $42,000 for deconstruction costs, it may be why I didn't capture it, because it was deconstructed by the firefighters themselves. It wasn't contracted out. So if you look at the $1,815,000, it doesn't reflect the $42,000, but this cost is based on a replacement of an entire station. And then I think Mujo is the architect on that, and they're in the design phase of doing it now. They just had it surveyed, and that is a complete replacement cost for Station 60, and a project worksheet has been submitted. Station 61 on LA 22, $1.3 million, and again, this is with Mujo Architectural in a design phase, and that's for a replacement of an entire station on Highway 22. Station 62 on 431, engineering damage estimates came in at $97,810. So for a grand total of $5,258,000 for damages to building is what we're submitting to FEMA for reimbursement. And they got to go through the insurance reviews and everything else that they have to do, and they're accused. Now, the buildings that are substantially damaged, it goes beyond FEMA Region 6 in Denton, Texas. It actually has to go to DC for the substantial damages, especially above $1 million. And we'll get that answer to you just as quickly as we can, but it has been submitted. Category G, recreation, the Santa Monica Park Light switchgear, that's the actual cost. We submitted a project for that for $57,781. So total, if you total the temporary categories that work together, categories A and B, it comes out to $12,577,000, and the permanent categories of work is $12,878 for a total of $25,456,000. What I just wanted to do, just to give you an idea what the management costs were, how did we manage the project? If you look at the cost that we incurred, if you look at DAC, directed administration costs, engineering and testing, that's eligible costs that are built into the project worksheets, and that's $511,000. Indirect costs are the ineligible costs, which we explained earlier, the floodplain management, personnel augmentation, and the database, that was $247,000. And then road damage assessments, damage dimension descriptions, public assistance, and RFQ support was $154,973 for $402,930,393. But if you look at the return on investment, if you didn't get any of the permanent categories of work and you just got temporary, which is not going to happen, but if, say, for instance, you just got just temporary categories of work, your return on investment is 31 to 1. So for every dollar that you spent to get this data, you get $31 back. If you get all of it, temporary and permanent categories of work, your return on investment is 63 to 1. So for every dollar you spend, you get 63 back. So I'm a realist. I know I'm going to be somewhere within a range of $31 to $63 for every dollar that we spent on this entire project. So what I'd like to do is update you guys at least every 30 days until we start getting all this, the money's obligated to us, so we can give you guys a good financial position on where we're at. And I'm subject to you, my staff and I are subject to your questions if we can answer anything.
Very thorough. Rick, I have a few questions, but Todd.
Yeah, Rick, looking at quite a bit of money, and how many of these projects are we able to get started on? And I know we're waiting on money, and that's a big burden on all your fire departments and stuff like that.
With the building project?
Yes.
Eric, could you come up real quick? I know we just completed one, and some of them are substantially damaged and some of them aren't, and I'm going to let him kind of brief you on where we are on these projects.
Okay.
As we stated, the mosquito control is complete.
I've seen that one.
That was done. The one for the River Region Cancer Center, the architect has it. We actually went out on site a couple of times. They're doing reviews, checking electrical, mechanical systems and everything else. Hope to have the first draft of the bid specs and everything else within the next 30 to 60 days, so we can review that and then go out through the procurement process and go out for bid on that reconstruction of that building. Station 50, currently, that contract has been signed and construction for renovations has started. Also on Station 62, the contract is signed. The only thing holding that project from starting is the performance bonds from the contractor. So that station will start. The substantially damaged buildings, architects have been identified. They are in place. They've done as much preliminary work as possible. We are waiting on concurrence from FEMA to make sure they agree with us and our floodplain management and ordinance is saying, yes, they are substantially damaged, and we can get the maximum amount of dollars from FEMA. So those are the two fire stations, 60 and 61, and then also Santa Monica Park and also PJ's Landing. We're waiting on that concurrence before we move forward. But architects have been identified. They've already done their preliminary work. They're just waiting on FEMA to say, and that's where they got to go to DC because it is substantially damaged. So we know those will take some time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've experienced as far as getting your funding back is pretty lengthy sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm I believe that was all for right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Terry?
Yes, please. Rick, you mentioned under the Alligator Bayou repairs that you were waiting on more information. Enlighten me a little bit more on that, please.
Yeah, on the Alligator Bayou repairs, it was based on RS Means data for construction. In other words, we didn't have the actual documents. We went out and did an assessment and an estimate on what it would cost to make those repairs to both the Laurel Ridge Levee and Alligator Bayou. We submitted the project worksheet based on that data, and as soon as it comes back in, we have to provide FEMA with actual costs of what it costs us to use our equipment and our personnel and material so we can start drawing off that project worksheet.
Okay. I just gotta ask you, what is the deal with a $500,000 trailer?
We said the same thing, and that came from a quote from where? ModSpace. That was a quote from ModSpace to put it into floodplain compliance, into ADA compliance, and back into code. So that was a quote from ModSpace.
We couldn't build a building cheaper?
I think we could, yes. I think we could.
Then we're not gonna explore that
But
option?
there's still damages that we sustained, and that's what we want to submit to FEMA. If you're giving me the replacement value of this trailer, and to put it back in that place, we might be able to go in for an alternative project, but we want the money for the damage that incurred. So that's how we're approaching it.
Well, I don't wanna have to tell anybody we spent $500,000 on a trailer.
I don't
So
either.
we've gotta
No,
get
it's-
something more out of this. I mean, I'd love to have the money for a $500,000 trailer, but we need to build something back that's,
And what we're looking
Reflects
at
that kind of value.
is a possible alternative project for Santamar Park. We got the money for the trailer, we get the money for the building, and we do something that doesn't have to be in compliance with the floodplain or bring it back to code. So we need that funding to apply at least for an alternative project.
I applaud you for getting the money, and I can't wait to see a $522,590 trailer. That's the, oh goodness, okay. That is some creative numbers. Bless you. All right, I think I had,
But if you think about it, the little FEMA trailer's $130.
well, you're right. You are so right. I guess a double wide is a big deal. God have mercy. Let me make sure that was all. I think that was it. Thank you, Rick, and thank
Okay.
you both for the wonderful job that you've done.
Thank you.
Any more down there, John?
Just real quick, thank you, it's very thorough, appreciate that, and I like your idea to come back to us about monthly,
Okay,
keep us updated, thank you.
good deal.
Anything down there? Or Todd, go ahead.
Didn't we receive $166,000 for the Santamar Park this week? Was that coming from insurance? or is-
It came from insurance, and anytime we have any insurance settlement, it's gonna have to be pulled out of the FEMA project worksheet. So
Okay.
it's an adjustment that we have to make to every
Okay.
project worksheet.
Okay, I thought I heard him say that we had that this week. I think that's it, Chairman.
Councilman Johnson?
No, so I came in late, so I'm just kind of going through this. I don't have anything.
Councilman Satterley?
I'm fine, Bill, thank you.
Councilman Lambert?
Thank
Dempsey
you, Mr.
Lambert.
Chairman. Rick, I see we're 50% on just about everything here. On
50.
the
We're looking,
number of homes, flood elevation, what are we 50% on all three of these?
Next report, please.
That's the next one? I'm sorry, I'm late too.
okay,
But, let's go back to debris removal.
okay.
You was in Galvez Oaks with me here a few weeks back. We have some of these families now, all they hoping to get is a bedroom and a bathroom started in their home, so, I don't wanna hear debris removal is coming to an end yet. A lot of these folks are just getting started.
Right.
Where are we at with debris removal, or what do you have left we can, I wanna make sure that we can continue this.
You want an update on the finances or operations? Which one is more important to you? Which one do you want?
Where are we on?
I think, he wants to hear, when, are we gonna continue it? How much longer are we gonna continue
Right,
it?
today, we're gonna stop what we're doing right now, and we're gonna turn this back over for daily operations to DPW. We picked up well over 4,000 cubic yards of debris. I think I sent you guys a picture of what we have picked up. What's left out there that we see is these larger grapple trucks and low wires and fence lines where they piled them up against there that we just couldn't get to. It'll take other equipment in addition to a grapple truck to remove it. So what we'll do is have a meeting with Greg Berthelot and DPW next week. We have 2 smaller grapple trucks, and they're gonna have to get either Bobcats or front-end loaders to get in there to get the few remaining things that we have left. I'll give you an example of one that's on Melanson Road. We know about it. We put the grapple truck next to it, but it couldn't get under the wires and into the yard to reach for it. As one that we could get it with the truck, but we couldn't get into the yard because C&D is so heavy that if we'd have backed the truck into the yard, we'd have sunk it to the axle. So these are the small little pockets of things that we need to pick up, but it's few and far between compared to where we started from. We know they're there. We're gonna give all the locations to DPW, and they're gonna have to work them into work orders for their systems.
Okay. And just can you recap, I know we were talking about fire stations here, Galvez Lake Fire Station, who has, is that Getro that has, you have that? Or what's the percentage on your completion with those?
They just started the last couple of weeks. I don't know the percentage, as far as completion is concerned, but the process has started.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Cluott.
Yeah, Rick, thank y'all for coming, man. Real quick, I'm gonna revert back to a few small questions on the $500,000 trailer. We putting up trailers all over in Santamon, up on floodplains for less than $500,000. And I understand mod space, I've rented from them a lot of times. We buying it or we renting it?
No, that's just our claim on our insurance.
Okay.
But this is a placeholder, this is a placeholder for funding. It's not a commitment to buy a trailer.
Good
I
deal.
just want everybody to be
I'm
clear
good.
on that. Okay.
I'm good. Right here, on the funding, we're moving along. I mean, I know you got the weights, but
Normally,
are you running into any issues with FEMA? That's all. I guess I'll ask that.
you know, over the past 10 years, we understand the length of time it takes to coordinate with FEMA and actually moving just a little bit ahead of schedule. I know 8 months doesn't seem like it is, but when you're dealing with these, we got 148,000 project worksheets in Louisiana right now. So some of them been open for 12, 13 years. I think the only disasters that we have open in Ascension Parish is this one. You know, so we move pretty fast in Ascension to get it done. We just got obligated $7.8 million for debris removal. The next one in the queue will be emergency protective measures for a little over $4 million. So that's gonna release that financial burden that you guys incurred for the flood. So we're moving along. I'm confident in temporary categories and a little less confident with roads, but otherwise I think we're gonna fare fairly well, and we're gonna be made whole overall when this is all said and done.
We knew that roads was gonna be a fight up front.
Well, FEMA never has a huge appetite to pay
No,
for road
never did.
damage. But, you know, they wanted science, and we killed them with science. So you're gonna have to,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to refute what we gave you.
While you're talking about roads, we have a lot of, and this may be a DPW issue also, but based on the flood and what we had to do coming out of the flood, we have a lot of culvert issues. Okay, so, I don't know if we get anything for roads, but we did have a lot of damage based on heavy equipment, things moving in and out. And just on debris removal, I'm like Dempsey, we still got a couple small pockets. We have some people that we tried to help, it just wasn't feasible. And just need to keep on moving on that.
Okay,
I
well-
do want to ask you, because you brought it up every time, and I brought it to the people that I've talked to, that if you're got a contractor in and he's building on your house, then, you know, if he's throwing what he's building on your house at the road, that's a different subject.
Yeah,
You know,
just,
Todd covered it a while back, and,
Yeah.
you know, every meeting somebody covers it, but
yeah, if I can elaborate on that real quick, there's other parishes that are going in for approval from FEMA to try to pick up reconstruction debris. I don't think they're gonna be successful. If it's reconstruction debris, it's not eligible, and we didn't pick that up, you know. So it's, if you're reconstructing your house, then it's part of the contract that you have to pick that type of debris up.
well, I want to thank you in my area where y'all ended up picking up, and most of that was in the ditches, and we've had one hard rain since then, so that helped. We just keep hitting those little pockets till we get it all out, and I want to, one thing, expound on what you said. This is a 2-year deal, easy. We got a long ways to go.
Yep.
Thank you very much, sir.
Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick, Category E buildings, the Sorrento Caris House facility received substantial damage. I take it as it's not in this list, they're filing separately for their loss, or?
No, they're not following
It's
separate.
really not their loss, it's our building.
Yeah, it's our building, and we may include it in there. Early on, we did that one fairly quickly. We did a lot of it with forced account labor in-house. There was a couple of contracts that we're looking at, and we may include it later on, but I want to make sure that I've done all the due diligence of gathering all the contracts, and that we won't have any questions raised when it does submit it to FEMA. You know, comparatively, it was a small amount of money.
Right. But the point is, we maybe could go for some dollars there.
Exactly. You know, I
Okay.
just want to make sure that we.
And
we
how about
cover
animal
everything.
control? I'm not aware, did we get any damage there at all?
The one at PJ's Landing?
I guess that is. PJ's
That's where
Landing, yeah.
the data that's in there for PJ's Landing is
That's
animal
included in
control.
there.
That's included in there, yes.
Okay, I'm trying to look at the summary here, Rick, and is this correct? So what would be the grand total here, if I,
The grand
is it
total.
25 plus the 2/500s, or?
Yeah, if we got 100% of what we're requesting, it'll be 25 million, where is it? There we go. 25,456,000 if we got both temporary and permanent categories of work.
Okay. So what's your estimate, percentage of that?
I'm thinking somewhere between 60 to 90% of that is what we'll get back. And again, floods are different than hurricanes, so a lot of it's based on NFIP and what we look like as a parish as in terms of insurance, whether it's recognized by the State Insurance Commission. How do they want to subtract that from the project worksheet? So that's still to be determined. I got to go to DC in some cases, some of it just to region, but it's been taken out of Baton Rouge to the Joint Field Office in Baton Rouge, and it's being processed now. We'll get you an answer on that pretty quick.
So just clarification, I think you've answered this, but in a lot of cases, I see where our estimate was a little bit higher than what the actual costs were, but that's not important as far as the reimbursement, is that correct?
No, we can do, at closeout, we can adjust the project worksheet when we do that. That's not a problem.
Okay. If there ain't no other questions, thank you, and thank you, staff. You guys have been a great asset for Ascension Parish during this time. I think maybe get with Cinnamon if you want to be on the agenda every 30 days. I think maybe we could put you for a meeting over here on this side every month.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Fournier. Did I say that correctly?
Very good.
I've been
Yeah,
practicing all day.
Very good. Mr. Chairman, members of the council, I just want to give you a brief update on the number of substantial damage considerations that we've been doing. I passed out, I gave you a handout, I think, with a little summary on that. Just to kind of refresh our memories, we had a total of 10,641 homes that were evaluated for flood damage. Again, these are homes that were, we had a substantial damage estimate performed on them, either by our staff, building department, or by FEMA's consultants that went out into the field, right? Of those 10,641, 1,580 were deemed to be over 50% damage. And as a refresher on that, 50% damage means that 50% of the cost of repairing the home is over 50% of the value of the home, right? So that's how that was determined. We have processed appeals, and we continue to process appeals. And I want to, as Rick did with his staff, I want to thank our staff too, in particular Lance Brock, Mike Hebert, Darren Duplessis, and some others who are doing the appeals for us. It's quite a cumbersome process. We require some data from the property owner, giving us detailed estimates on how much the repair cost did. If they have a bona fide estimate of the cost of the property, we'll take that in, but they have to provide us some very detailed information. With that information, we'll run the appeal for them. So of the appeals that we've done so far, 148 have taken the substantial damage estimate below 50%. And 46 of the appeals have taken the damage estimate above 50%. And we have had people come in, ask us to review it, and they're asking us to look at it again because they wanted, for insurance purposes or reimbursement purposes, they needed to be over a certain amount, right? We don't take that willy-nilly. We look at the estimates, compare it with the appraised value of the property, and if it happens to be that way, we'll do the appeal for them, all right? So basically, where we are now, if you take the 1,580, subtract 148, and then add in the 46, we're at 1,478 properties that are over 50% damaged. I want to add, too, that we have been in continual contact with FEMA. We have been audited by FEMA. They have provided us a list of properties. They want to find out what the appeal process was on these properties. They want to know that we're doing the proper appeal, going through the proper appeal process, and we have provided that information to them, right? So we're working with FEMA on that. It's a very serious matter for them, and we have been taking it serious and giving them that information. So that's all I have to report on right now. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Council, let's start over here. Councilman
Thank you,
Simon.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Jerome, for your work. On those 46, which is the number of appeals where the SDA was taking greater than 50%,
Yes, sir.
are we in any risk whatsoever for being accused of or involved in or implicated in whatever insurance fraud if we wind up adjusting?
No, none whatsoever, and I'll be happy to go through the process with you. FEMA
I'm not
provides.
into that detail, I'm just looking for you,
No, but
pretty much a yes/no answer, or?
yeah. Well, no, we're not in any problem, I'll just say that. FEMA provides a document. It's a handbook on how to do appeals. Basically, it's a handbook on how to do substantial damage estimates. In that handbook, it tells us what we need to do for the appeal process, and we have been stringently adhering to that. So I'm very
Is it virtually
comfortable with the
unheard
work
of?
that we've been doing so far on that.
This ain't the first storm and the first rodeo for the country, so is it virtually unheard of that government authorities would assist homeowners to become over 50, following the FEMA manual and everything, that insurance companies are all happy with that?
Well, I'll leave that up to them to decide. I don't know the answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Kluart.
Yeah, Jerome, so you telling me that you evaluated over 10,000 houses?
That's correct, yes. And I should add, Councilmember Kluat, we have a full database on that.
Yeah.
Anybody would like to come in, would like to look at their
Yeah, I
their
saw the list a good
substantial
while
damage
back
estimate.
before,
Yeah.
and I just glad for you to bring that number,
Yes.
because that number was going all over the place for a while.
Yeah, and this comes directly from the database that we have, right.
And,
I think we're kind of floating
let
around
me
that
ask
figure.
you, was there any scenarios where somebody was under 50% and they didn't feel like you were right? Because I'm saying the over 50% has.
148 of them.
But, I mean, but let me finish my question. That were under 50% that felt like they were over, that's what I'm talking about. That felt like that it was too low.
Well, I think that would fall under the category of the 46 houses
Okay.
that we did.
Okay, that's why I want to
Yeah,
clear that,
evaluation,
that
right.
46 number.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So those property owners were under 50% when we sent out the letters to them, and for whatever reason, they felt that they had more damage than what we estimated, so they came in and filed an appeal. We
I
had
followed
46
two
of
people,
them.
I followed two people through the appeals process, and it works.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And sometimes it's a hard decision in either direction for the homeowner.
Yes. Yeah, I should add, we're working right now with the school district on that very process. Yeah, and it's been a difficult decision for them. So we're working with them on that appeal.
Good deal. Once again, I'll just take this short opportunity to thank your staff and everybody that's worked from the day of the storm on, and work with the homeowners through everything in your department, through the permitting process, the rebuilding process, everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll relay that message to the staff.
Any down here? Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Jerome, out of these 1,478, have you had a lot of, I guess, resistance on, because these homes have to be torn down?
It varies. There's been some resistance, and if there's a lot of resistance, we'll ask them to come in and file an appeal.
Right.
If they feel it's unjust, if they can't move forward with that, we tell them, get an appraisal on the property to raise the value, get a, redo your cost estimate on the repair process and see if that comes in, if that's accurate. And if that's the case, we'll do an appeal for them, you know. But I think for the most part, we've been seeing a lot of people coming to the department right now, the building department, with pulling permits. There are a lot of elevations going on. People are elevating their homes. Some people have demolished and are rebuilding, and in the rebuilding process, they're getting elevation certificates that tells them where they need to build, and they're building to those standards. So I think the process is pretty much working.
Good. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Cagnolati.
I'll reiterate what they said earlier. One of my constituents had a situation. He demolished his house and is rebuilding. He said that he's received nothing but total cooperation from your guys. So
Right.
Kudos to the staff on my behalf. But job well done, and I know it's not over yet, but we're getting there. Thank you.
I talked to the gentleman in St. Tammany Parish who was doing this, and they're actually still doing appeals from Katrina. So
From
we could-
Katrina?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long process, yeah. So.
Councilwoman Casso.
No questions, Jerome. Thank you so much to you and your staff for an amazing job. Appreciate you.
I'll relay that message, thank you. Yeah.
So, Jerome, I'm kind of like Councilman Cluart. This number, as we know it, is 10,000 numbers jumped around. So is this something that's verified through FEMA? Is this just our number, or?
Well,
Can you
this
help
is a
me?
number that we've gone through, looked at all the estimates that we prepared. They've been placed into the database. The ones that were inappropriate, that were duplicates, we've thrown out, and there were some. So the number, I feel very comfortable with the 10,641. We've taken out properties that were done both by our department, and then FEMA came by, going through the same street as an example, and did another estimate on it, and it doubled up the estimate on that one property. So we pulled those out of the system. And where we had a duplicate in that situation, by the way, I should add that we kept the estimate that was done by our staff, because we felt that was a little bit more time was involved in it. We felt a little bit more comfortable with the results of that estimate.
Do we know what the number is that FEMA has for Ascension Parish?
Well, FEMA takes the number we give them.
Oh,
So-
takes our number.
Yeah, it takes our number, yeah,
Okay.
so.
Councilman Cluart.
Yeah, just, also, as you were there for every minute of it, that we worked with FEMA early on.
Mhm.
They have a joint venture, not just throwing them in the streets of Ascension Parish.
Right.
And work with them to go out. They had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
And every time they reported back into your office, y'all met, the numbers were, looked at each other.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty valiant effort.
The
Not
work,
just saying that they were the federal government coming in,
Right.
they were coming anyway.
right, they were,
So-
exactly. Yeah, we pretty much didn't have a choice, and
I applaud your office, and I just want to take this opportunity right here to thank one of the guys that retired, Mr. Laverne Bourgeois.
absolutely,
Laverne worked night and day,
absolutely.
tirelessly, diligent efforts, and we appreciate his years of tenure and the work that he's done.
Yeah, Laverne has officially retired, and he's sorely missed in our department, believe me.
Yes, he is.
And with a wealth of knowledge he took with him.
I got one last question, so I hate to end on a sour note, but we do have the homes that were over 50%.
Yes,
The
sir.
people appeal. Whether they appealed or not, you probably got some out there that didn't even file an appeal yet, but
We do.
and I know, because, but those people just hurried up, they rebuilt their house and they're back in it.
Yeah.
And, they got the 2-year cloud hanging over their head.
Yeah.
Become in compliance.
Yes.
This same council that's seated right here today, unless we leave for reasons, gonna be seated when that 2 years is up, okay?
Yeah.
So I want everybody to know that that's gonna come look at us at some point. And our ability to have a national flood insurance program in Ascension Parish is based on the fact that we follow rules and regulations. We have to adopt them by ordinance.
Yes.
And so that, in fact, is a federal mandate, but a parish ordinance.
That's absolutely it. We're trying to comply with our ordinance right now, and that's the reason we're going through this process.
That's gonna be a sad day, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I might add that, the word on the street is that everybody from Baton Rouge on up has looked at Ascension Parish, and we've gotten some accolades on the effort that we put in. Other parishes did not go through the effort that we went through, and, so we're proud of that. So,
I just want to let you know, there's been some discussion in Washington DC and also at the state capitol that day, when that day comes or before that, sure, they can have the federal regulations that these people are not allowed to have flood insurance, but, it'll be a hard day when somebody tries to push somebody out of their house.
they were. Okay.
How about, Councilman Lambert, did you have something else?
I just wanted to, also, Laverne, on his way out, I mean, we had some pretty rough times there, man, trying to get all the power and everything back up, and, I mean, y'all really worked hard, staff really worked hard with us, and, like you said, we're gonna miss Laverne on a few things, so good luck to y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again, Jerome. At this time, I'm going to turn the chair and the mic over to Councilman Cluot, and he's a member of the Restore Louisiana Commission. And he's going to give us an update on where that is and what people need to do to sign up for that survey, I presume.
Yes, and they can, I don't need the chair, so, there you go. As it's been advertised, they can go online. We had, it's somewhat of a road show. They're trying to go around the state, and yesterday they were here in Ascension Parish, and from what I understand, we had a pretty good turnout. And I just ask everyone, you may think you're not gonna get something, but please, go ahead and sign up for it. As we continue to go forward and try to get more monies in, we know that the initial monies that we requested and the monies that were approved are not gonna do the whole job. We're gonna have some people that's not gonna be made whole. A lot of people fall in the cracks of the recently retired folks, people on fixed income, people that still had, some decent insurance, but they're still at least twice of what the insurance paid them. They still have a decent income because they worked hard all their life, and so they got a little check coming in. But this is setting them back. They'll have to go out and grab a mortgage and pay a note for, I'm 62. I just signed a mortgage with SBA for 27 years, so I'd hope to have a cup of coffee with y'all at that time. But I ask everybody diligently, and look, Ascension Parish makes up the greater region of good people that get up and go to work and work hard. And a lot of people think that they don't qualify, but get up, please. Please make the effort to go ahead and qualify and get it in. There's nothing gonna happen quick. Y'all set through the rest of this. Anything that we said that had to do with the federal government is a slow-moving train. But some monies that you may have had to pull out of your retirement, out of your 401ks, out of your savings, or actually pull out and help a loved one, because we've had whole families. It's not like isolated incidents. There may be some reimbursement of that, some eligibility to that down the road. So I just want to, once again, I always say I encourage everyone to go out and get their application in. And it's not a bunch of duplication of stuff. They're going to grab your FEMA information anyway. And the task force is continuing to work. At this time, the governor's not satisfied, none of your state representatives, none of our federal group. We have a good federal group working with us too, by the way. Our folks in D.C. that represent Louisiana working hard, and it don't matter where they're from in Louisiana. The whole group is working together on this effort. So We expect to have another appeal for more money down the road, and, so, I just wanna, I might have to go to the little overhead projector, but I wanna, just show something that's, we I just found out not long ago. The Restore Louisiana Small Business Program, they're making a push. They've opened offices here in, I think they got offices in Gonzales, Livingston Parish, Denham Springs, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. And that if you have, we have a lot of people that have small businesses. It don't matter if the business was out of your house, whatever it was, that you can make an application through this program to get a loan, and actually a loan between $20,000 and $50,000, and at the end of it, 20% of the total loan may be eligible for forgiveness. They're really working hard. This program is working hard to try to get small businesses going back up. The things, the little folks, everybody that we depended on day to day before this flood happened. So I'm gonna try to hand one out to each one of the council members, and I'll give it to the press, but I'm gonna try to get,
Hey, Rand?
yes,
You
sir.
might want to mention that they mentioned they were going to open an office across from Bertrand's Pharmacy in the
Yeah.
East Bank.
Yeah,
strip mall.
right there in Gonzales.
There will
right
be an
here.
office opening up in there.
Yeah, that's where it's gonna be, and,
I'm not sure exactly when it's opening up, but it
let me
should,
see.
according to him, pretty shortly.
I'll just take it. I might need you, I might not know how to turn that thing on. Just learn how to work. Yep. Let me zoom out. That's about us. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get this flyer on the APTV and get it out to everyone in the local media that, what we've seen a lot of our small businesses struggle. We've seen some of them that the doors are still closed and they decide whether they're gonna come back or not. And I know this is not a great deal of money, but it's a good head start in the right direction. And the ability for the forgiveness of it, of a portion of it at the end, is very good. Anybody that's dealing with SBA, you know, all the residential loans have been 1.5 or 3.1%. This is a 0% loan with the ability to have 20% of it forgive. So I'm gonna try to get that out to you guys.
And I think it was, Randy, you might have mentioned a total of, what, $12 million available?
Yeah,
Without the three parish, you know, East Baton
Right.
Rouge.
within,
Livingston, Ascension.
it's a regional,
Right.
south central region. And that's a pretty good bit of money if you're giving it out about 50,000 a half, you know? So it has the ability to help a lot of smaller businesses.
And it's flexible way you can spend it also.
Yep. It's a pretty good bit of autonomy.
Yeah.
There's a normal paperwork up front with SBA, but you gotta put it into business.
Right.
But anyway, any questions about the Restore Committee?
Appreciate it.
We try to forward, every municipality is getting updates from the committee. And most all the secretaries or administration in every parish or city is pushing the word out to the council members. So if any of y'all are not getting that, just let me know. And sometimes when we get something extra, we try to put it out. But it's been an uphill battle. It's not finished. We have as any disaster, you have a hard time actually getting folks on the Washington, D.C. level to actually see your pain. This group, you guys, as we went to D.C., several other groups, and all of our federal guys, they're working hard with both the House and the Senate side. to make people understand, because no matter what region we're in, everybody's had a disaster similar to this one. Maybe not of the small local magnitude, but same type of thing. And I haven't, I feel good, not like after Katrina. I feel good about this. I haven't heard anybody screaming all the way to DC about the amount of money, okay? It's just a matter of the bureaucracy of getting it approved and getting it handed out when it comes down. And we're pushed on the state government to please move forward every chance they get within this phase to get money out to the people. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cluide. And I want to thank him for serving on this committee and looking out for the interest of Ascension Parish. This is obviously a very important committee for us and every flood victim. So we've got about $2 million, $2 billion, I'm sorry, dollars out there at risk, and Randy has done a great job of looking out for Ascension Parish. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion and a second. Any objections? Thank you. We'll reconvene at 6 o'clock.